Big Game James Allen. Nobody covers it better. That's why I call him Big Game. He is entrenched in the high school sports scene. Big Game joins us here on Big Board Sports. Good morning, Big Game.
Morning, Roger.
Hey, before we get to hoops, I gave a salute in the first 10 minutes of our show when we talked local sports this morning. I said, good luck to all the high school wrestlers in town at the state championships going on downtown at the Times Union Center. What a talented group. And if you're into high school wrestling, it gets no better.
Yeah, we've got a lot of guys that are, I think are, legitimate contenders to get to the Final Four, and then get down to the last two matches, you see what happens, and I think we got some guys that will be wrestling tomorrow night. Is
there one headline wrestler guy that you go, here's one you have to follow from the Capital Region because he's just that good? You'd be surprised if he's not at least in the state championship come Saturday night?
I would have to say Tyler Barnes from Boston Spa, Roger. I mean, he's a tremendous year. He won it, he won at Eastern States. He was the only guy that did that. And, he's a junior, is committed to North Carolina State, and he's just catted and pulled it himself really over the summer. He made a couple of national finals during the summer in freestyle, and really kind of opened a lot of people's eyes, and he's really carried that over throughout the season, and he's beat some really, really good wrestlers. And not that I don't think we have other guys that are capable. I think, you look at the four guys from Columbia, they're all very, very good. All of them combined only have one loss, and they're certainly viable contenders. And Anderson from Schuylerville won it last year at Division II at 106. He's certainly a favorite at 120. But if you have to pick earmark one, I'd say Tyler Barnes.
Yeah, Tyler Barnes. All right there, folks. Check that out. Tyler Barnes, arguably Section 2's best pound-for-pound guy, and he's top seed at 170 in Division I. You want high school wrestling and the best, it's going on today, all day today, and then pretty much all day tomorrow with the finals tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at the Times Union Center, a great host site. They've been doing this for a whole bunch of years and always get rave reviews. All right, you'll be at Hudson Valley Community College, I take it, tomorrow night for sure. I want to jump into the to the double A's because that's mostly what we have talked about here. What's your thoughts on, let's start with Green Tech and Colony at 7 o'clock tomorrow night?
Well, Colony's the top seed. They played them early in the year. They beat them. Green Tech's been kind of all over the map this year, but they really struggled toward the end of the season. But then they beat Shaker to get to this point. Certainly Colony is definitely the favorite on an open court. I think they're going to be difficult to deal with. The only thing that you have to be concerned with if you're Colony is they don't go too deep into the bench. So you just got to keep guys on the floor. You got to avoid the foul trouble. Green Tech is not as adept and as qualified as a pressing team as they've been in recent years, where they really can, get into you at half court and cause a lot of problems. It's not that they can't, get turnovers, but they're just not as good at it as they've been. They don't have the size. They're not as good as a trapping team, so they don't cause as many turnovers. And Colony's shown the ability to be able to break teams down when they try to do that. So I think Colony's going to win this game. I think Green Tech can certainly make things interesting, but ultimately Colony's I just think is going to take care of business.
And what about that 4-5 matchup at 2 o'clock at HVCC? We're talking Class AA boys quarters, Schenectady and Saratoga.
I covered that game during the regular season. It was a good one. Saratoga won it. Really like the way they're playing. I got to give a lot of credit to Eric Laudas for Schenectady and what he's been able to do. I certainly think that they've got a couple of guys that can do a lot of damage, and I think they will. Jenkins has been tremendous for them all year long at both ends of the floor, and he's going to be a problem for Saratoga. But I really like the way that the Blue Streaks are playing right now. Big, huge confidence-boosting win at the end of the year against Shen. And I just think that in the open court, you always think of Schenectady as being the team that's pretty lethal. I really think that Saratoga and a big court can do some damage as well with their team. They really don't have that true post. I mean, Brian Hart's playing it, is basically playing the forward center position at 6'4", but he's not really a banger. He's more of a guy that gets out in transition and do some things there. And you really have to like the way that Adam Anderson's playing as well. I think that's going to be a very close game, Roger, but I like Saratoga in that one.
James, when we look at Albany-Bethlehem, the 3-11 matchup, can Albany upset a Bethlehem team that has really surprised some people this year?
Zach, they're certainly capable. I think Albany is one of those teams that if you overlook them, as Troy found out, you can be going home. Albany's, a team that they don't really have. They've had a lot of guys that have had some good moments. I mean, Gaddy's been the leading guy for them, but they've had a lot of other players that really stepped forward. And to me, that what really impresses me about what they did was, I mean, they're not known for a half court, slow it down kind of team, but yet they won that kind of style and they won that kind of, contest against Troy to get to this point. You hold Troy in the low 40s, and you really shut down. They did a really good job of containing Daniel Bowie in that game. Bethlehem doesn't really rely on that one guy, but if you can get them into a situation where they get a little out of sorts and they're very much a regimented team, Bethlehem and what they do, they don't really turn the ball over. Riker's a really good point guard in that regard. I think it's going to be interesting. I like Bethlehem. I think ultimately they win the game, but would I be surprised if Albany takes it to the end? I would not.
And maybe the game that I don't know how much drama there'll be to this one, even though I have said the loss of Luke Hicks does hurt Shen, and we know Luke Hicks, they're one of their top players, arguably their top player, quit the team a couple of weeks ago. And I think it hurt them down the stretch in the loss to Saratoga for sure just a couple of weeks ago. But they have LaSalle in the first round in the quarters on Saturday. I would assume that Shen will figure out a way to win that one.
They should be able to, Roger. LaSalle's a team that has had some good moments this year. They've had a couple real quality wins. I did their game against against LaSalle in the CBA title game, and LaSalle hung with them for a while, and then they didn't win that game. But Shen is this. I think the thing that's interesting is, in the game that they lost against Saratoga, I just felt like at certain points of that game at the end, they were looking for somebody to make a shot or to step forward, and nobody really did that. And if you get into a tight game, and LaSalle's a capable team, they got a guy in Delalo down low that can do some damage, and I think Shen should take care of this one, but if it does get close, that's going to be something to keep an eye on. Does Shen have somebody that's at the end of the game that's going to take a shot or be willing to step forward to take a shot in a close game in order to get them through? Ultimately, I think they will get through, but don't be surprised if LaSalle hangs around for a while.
Is there a headline game tonight that you are focused in on?
There's a lot of good games tonight, Roger, but I will be at Shen for the boys. There's 2 B games and then a C game after it. The game I'm kind of interested in for more than I think, not that there are other really good games, but the 3-6 game. Broadalbin Perth is playing against Warrensville. These 2 teams have had some interesting games over the years, in recent years in the playoffs, and I think this one could be one of them, too. 2 really good point guards to keep an eye on tonight. They're going to be going at each other, contrasting styles, and interesting. You got Preston Taylor for Broadalbin Perth, who's very good, and then you got Sean Nolan for Voorheesville. That's a matchup to keep an eye on. It's a 5 o'clock game at Shen. It's first of 2 quarterfinal B games there. B tournament should be very fun. The 4-5 game at Hudson Valley in B is also should be very interesting with Hudson and Ichabod Crane renewing a matchup that Ichabod Crane won during the regular season at home. They hook up tonight in the playoffs in that game.
Big game, James Allen. Nobody does it better. You are the guru of high school sports in the Capital Region, and we have you secured, locked up here Friday mornings on Big Board Sports.
Sounds good, Roger.